I typically find myself the least interested in Microsoft's press conferences every year because a lot of times they show a lot of games that just really aren't my taste and they're going for a very specific tailored audience. That was not the case this year. Microsoft actually did a really good job, I thought, overall. I'm gonna try to break it down one by one, and I'll try to go somewhat quickly because they had a lot to show. The first thing they did, as soon as they came out, is talk about Project Scorpio, which is a new kind of upgrade for their Xbox hardware, which it's called. Let me get that. So it's coming out November 7th, costs $499, and does pretty much everything we knew it was going to do. Is going to use all your Xbox One stuff. All of that's going to be compatible on there, all controllers and games, etc. They're going to look better. They're going to load faster. It's got graphics and a bunch of teraflops and whatever. But the name of it is going to be called the Xbox One X. And immediately, the confusion already sunk in. And I think that's the biggest misstep with that. Because they also have the Xbox One, the Xbox One S, and now the Xbox One X. And if that isn't confusing to just normal everyday consumers, I don't know what else would be. It's the same kind of confusion that Nintendo went through when they had the Nintendo Wii and the Nintendo Wii U. Now, thankfully, the Xbox One X is compatible with all the Xbox One stuff. Xbox One S. Look, it's just a lot of letters that all sound exactly the same. Xbox One X. I'm not crazy about that. Not crazy about that at all. I feel like it's going to cause a lot of confusion for consumers overall. Parents kids are going to be like, I want the Xbox One X for Christmas. And parents are going to be like, oh, okay, we'll go get that. And they come back with just an original Xbox One, which isn't 4K and Ultra HD. Or they give them the Xbox One S because they said X, but they heard S. And I don't know, all that shit sounds alike. And it's like, well, why get the X when the S is half the price? It's a lot of confusion coming up. And I feel like it's a little bit of a misstep there with that name. I mean, I get why they called it that, so they can stay within the Xbox X naming scheme. X. There's 3 X's in there. Only it's not sexy. What was pretty sexy though was that the console itself is small. I was surprised by that. They didn't have it on stage or anything, but they basically showed a picture of it, and it was just a little bit larger than an Xbox One controller. So I actually do like the compact size. That was impressive. I'll give them that, considering how massive the Xbox One originally was. The fact that the Xbox One X is... God damn it. Just saying that out loud numerous times is frustrating. So you get my point. It was small. Good on you. So it didn't like really blow me away with all their technical specs and especially the price and everything they talked about it, but they didn't immediately go into some games, which is fine. And the first thing they wanted to do to try to really show off how good the Xbox One X's graphics are going to be is that they showed off Forza Motorsport 7, which I completely missed the fact that there was a Forza Motorsport 6. I don't keep up on the series at all. So, and this is again another outsider looking in for this game because I really don't know much about the franchise or what looked like was really improved with the gameplay. It certainly looked pretty. They did some really cool like sunset shots as they're driving around at dusk and had water on the windshield. Like just you see all the droplets trickling up from just the pure speed that they were going. I mean, it certainly looked good. I couldn't tell you anything about the gameplay itself since I don't actually play those games. If you play Forza, let me know because I'm genuinely curious on what was actually improved there. And this is also... I want to give them the benefit of the doubt because I didn't see anything that was like mind-blowing 4K graphics or anything that I saw, but I want to give them the benefit of the doubt because I was at home watching the stream rather than live on stage demos with proper displays. So I'll give it to them. I don't know if that's actually the case or not, but that's all I know. So Forza 7, 4K resolution, 60 frames per second. A billion other buzzwords in there, something about tires screeching and engines revving and your throbbing throttle. That was all in there. Then they also showed off another game that's supposed to really utilize all this new 4K stuff, which was a new Metro game, Metro Exodus. Metro Last Light was really good. There's like really good shooters, and they shouldn't be ignored. So another Metro game coming is awesome. That's it. All the gameplay they showed of it, bullshit. That was all bullshit, and we all know it. No reload animation will ever look like that, where you actually pick it up from the body, look at it for a second, and then put it into your gun. And now with because that was like basically like a scripted animated cutscene. If that was actual gameplay, the game would have like kept a quick shift you over into position to play that animation first. The part where like this massive bear busts through the door and the dude just takes his crossbow and just goes. It was really comical. Yeah, they also did a thing like you try to put a different bolt to his crossbow. In normal games, you just put that crap in there because you know what it is. But in this gameplay demonstration, he was like, crossbow, ooh, different bolt, look at that. Now I'll put it in to show the audience that I am using a different crossbow bolt. Thwip! And it explodes a little bit. So it was definitely way too scripted, not actual gameplay at all, but it does give you a sense of idea of the world they're looking for. And the world, gorgeous, looked really, really good. And basically all I can tell based on the story and what they showed is that the entire world has been taken over by packs of mutated wild dogs. Deal with it. There was a train. It was too scripted for me to get really excited about it, but the Metro games have been good before, so another one is a welcome addition. They then went into another sequel that's coming out, which I guess is technically a prequel, and it was Assassin's Creed Origins. Really surprised that they got to be the first ones to show this off, because I really thought Ubisoft would want to save it for themselves. But I will say, Assassin's Creed Origins was probably the most intriguing Assassin's Creed game I've seen in a long time. This is someone who I played all the Assassin's Creed games up through 3 in their entirety. And after that, I gave up because I was playing those games for the story. I thought it was really cool, like the modern day stuff and going into your past memories. I was all aboard in the story, and I hung on really hard because at the end of Revelations, I was just like, what the frick is this? And Revelations was just a bad game. And then Assassin's Creed 3 came out, and with like that story, it was just like they don't know what they're doing. So I kind of gave up on Assassin's Creed afterwards. But gameplay wise, this one, Origins, looked really cool. It's all based on Egypt. I actually really liked the look of the assassin dude that you're playing. I missed his name. It was like Brayak or something like that. What I really liked about it was the fact that as he was sneaking about, you have an eagle, like a trained eagle friend that you can use at any point in time. And you can switch to the eagle's perspective, and you get a top-down view of where you're looking. And you can kind of use that to plot out your approach attempt to your assassination target, or use it to get around guards, or I think you can use them to like mark them as well. I like that mechanic a lot. I actually thought that was really cool, just to use that to help figure out how you want to approach. And then, you know, that adds in challenges where if you want to do indoor assassinations, now your bird friend can help you as much. I actually really like the look of that. I thought that was really cool. They also showed him like jumping and doing like a mid-air archery shot where time slows down. He shoots him with the bow. Breath of the Wild says hi. They also showed him getting random loot and leveling up. Not crazy about that. I don't think I like that as much. Just because, I mean, rather than... Because Assassin's Creed has kind of really been more about skill when it comes to taking down assassinations or having multiple group fights. Different weapons at different statistics, yeah, but this one seemed very much you just need to get the best weapons or just level up enough to do whatever. So, I mean, this is a lot of assumptions because they could show more about it even at Ubisoft or when the game actually comes out, but that was my instinctual reaction when I saw that. It also showed him so he like went after his assassination target. His target started running away, so he took out his bow and then shot at him. And then the camera followed the arrow, and then you could actually like guide the arrow and like plant it right into the dude's back. Kind of a cool mechanic. I'm sure they'll think of some weird Assassin's Creed mumbo jumbo, Garden of Eden, whatever. That's the reason why he can do that. But I thought that was another cool mechanic. I like all the bow stuff. I like that. I mean, after they got increasingly more guns heavy as they went closer to modern day. Going back in time, it's kind of a welcome change. So Assassin's Creed Origins was the most intriguing Assassin's Creed I've seen in a long time. I did like that. They showed off how PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds is coming to Xbox One. It'll be enhanced for Xbox One S, which I can only assume means also enhanced for Xbox One X. They said it's a console exclusive, but it's also very readily available on PC right now for over 3 million players, or 3 million copies sold last I checked, but hey, it's coming. But then they started showing off a couple of smaller games, and the first one they showed actually really intrigued me. It was called Deep Rock Galactic. It was an underground cavern Minecraft-esque game where they basically had 4 players, all as dwarves, chipping away, drilling through walls, they're mining resources, they're building stuff, and then Starship Trooper bugs showed up and they started like shooting at them with guns and fending them off. It was very brief, but actually was really intriguing. I'm into those kind of Minecraft, Terraria kind of games where it's, you know, kind of resource management, base building, and survival. I'm into that. That could be a really cool co-op one, if not for at least gameplay videos or streams or whatever. So that one actually really intrigued me. I like to look at that one a lot. I like that's something a little different. It's all cavernous. Like they just took the Minecraft and just got rid of the overworld crap and said, look, it's all about the mining. So I actually did like what I saw for that one. They also showed off State of Decay 2, which will probably be excellent. It wasn't a great trailer for it. It was a really long trailer, and it's not coming out until like spring of next year, but State of Decay are pretty good games, and I don't think they really showcased actual gameplay in State of Decay 2 enough. They kind of did like the spinning camera around scenarios and different characters and talking about like, will you let them survive or will you shoot them to help yourself survive, or zombies, guys, handle them. I feel if they went more into like the actual base building mechanic or the co-op gameplay or anything like that, it would have been better. But for how long that trailer was, they didn't show enough on State of Decay 2. Then went into another new game which came out of nowhere, which a lot of people were very, very confused about. It was called Darwin Project, and based on what I saw, imagine a smaller, another what do you want to call them? Arena multiplayer shooters, stuff like PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds or The Culling. Any of those games were like very bite-sized player versus player arena style combat. But this one was smaller in scope. I think they had maybe 8 to 10 players were shown, but it seemed to be much more about hunting and tracking other players, because it was a lot of actual gameplay with one developer doing shoutcasting, and he was very enthusiastic about his game. Shout outs to that dude. He was doing an awesome job. Even if we didn't know what was going on, he was great. But basically showed the gameplay of there's definitely a lot of different characters. Like it showed just kind of generic looking dude with an axe, kind of a stealth-based archery guy, a different archery lady, a lot of stealth-based stuff. So it seemed like it seems to be character/class based, and it showed their vision. They're all in the snow, and they had a different vision they could switch to, showing their footprints, allowing them to easily track other players or where they're. I think they had like a visual cue where they're hearing sounds or different battle. So it was one of those games, but it's more about like just hunting and tracking the other players and actually having the tools to do so instead of just hearing a gunshot off in the distance or having similar objectives to kind of get to each other. It didn't look like there was much in terms of resource management or gathering or anything like that like the other ones had. I think this one was just, you've already got all that stuff, now hunt and kill each other. It looked cool. I'm intrigued to see more, not entirely sold on it right away, but it was a cool demonstration to give an idea of what that game is going to be like and what it's about. So I think that's one I'll keep an eye on. I have no idea if it'll actually stick around or really make an impact like something PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds did, but it was intriguing. They also showed a Minecraft thingy because Microsoft owns them, so they had to. But even though Microsoft owns them, they announced that they're going to have cross-platform gameplay for everything. That's cool. Good on them for that. If people with PC can play on the Switch, can play with Xbox, can play on mobile, can play with VR, that's really cool. They're going to have community-run servers. They're having a new 4K update coming for it. They also showed off the new Super Duper graphics pack. It's a great name for it, which basically showed a bunch of different shaders and lighting options. It did make it look cool, like way more intriguing. So if we ever do another Minecraft hardcore on Peanut Butter Gamer's gameplay channel, I'm sure it'll be super duper graphics. But I'm really glad that they made the whole thing cross-platform for everything. Good on them for that. I did like that. They showed off the new Dragon Ball Z fighting game from Arc System Works. These are the guys who did Blaze Blue, and they developed a new... Wait, Blaze Blue or Guilty Gear? Oh crap, I'm forgetting now. Oh, it's one of the two. It's embarrassing. I'm sorry. Someone will correct me in the comments. For the person who does that, thank you, I appreciate it. So they basically developed a new way of animating their character models, because it's all 3D based, but the way they are painted and shaded and actually animated looks 2D. It's a very bizarre thing to see because it blends with each other so easily, and it looks awesome. It's such a perfect fit for Dragon Ball Z to take like a 2D cartoon and capture that fighting, but using 3D models. I mean, it didn't really show off a whole lot of the gameplay itself. All we know is it's a 2D fighter. Gold Frieza's in it, Vegeta's in it, Super Saiyan 3 Goku's in it. There are going to be 3v3 battles, which they showed for just a brief moment, which looked like just pure nonsense. So I have no idea what's actually going to happen there, but it's a new Dragon Ball Z fighting game. It's actually called Dragon Ball Fighter Z, which sounds like a game that would show up on the iOS store as a complete ripoff of another Dragon Ball Z game, but that's the actual name, Dragon Ball Fighter Z. I'll check it out. I'm not as hyped for that one as I was, say, Xenoverse, just because I like the RPG multiplayer aspects of Xenoverse. They then went to a quick sizzle reel of a bunch of other games coming to Xbox One, which included Black Desert Online, which is a Korean MMO. It's alright. It's very much a Korean MMO and has microtransactions up the ass in it. They also showed off a really cool indie game called The Last Night, which was this kind of... It was all pixel graphics and very noir looking, but they had, even though it was pixel graphics, they had multiple layers of it, and the camera was like moving between them a lot. So even though it was pixely, it was still kind of pseudo 3D. It's really hard to describe, but I love the look of it. Like, I was immediately entranced by just how it presented itself. If you haven't seen it yet, go find a trailer for it, because it just looked really, really cool. I know a lot of people are like, indie game pixel graphics, but no, this one, I really like the way they did this one, so I would love to know more about it. It reminded me of Flashback on Super Nintendo, like way back in the day, like those kind of games. I have no idea if that's actually what it's actually going to be like, but that's what it reminded me of, and I was very much intrigued. They also showed Artful Escape, which I don't have no idea what the actual gameplay is, but it sure looked like a rhythm platformer. It's just a dude rocking on like a glowy guitar, and as he's like jumping on platforms, the platforms would glow, and that's when like different notes would come in. I think that's what it is. It was hard to tell, but it looked cool. Rhythm platformers are fun. I enjoy those, so we'll see. Code Vein, they also showed up very briefly, was just a very anime Japanese game. I don't know how else to describe it aside from that. Dudes with like crazy claws and swords and stuff on their faces, and a cute anime girl, and then they killed some stuff. I don't know. It's hard to get excited from that. After that, they did go into one of the things I really, really wanted to see this year from Microsoft specifically, which was more Sea of Thieves. This is that game coming from Rare, that pirate game coming from Rare. I got to play this last year at E3. They had a multiplayer setup where it was 4v4 ship battles. So you could all, it might have been 5v5 actually. Not the double, I don't remember. I believe it was either 4 or 5 versus another team. There's 2 ships fighting each other. And just based on that alone was such a fun multiplayer experience. I would play that game just for the ship battles. But Sea of Thieves has way more to offer aside from that, and that's what I really wanted to see from this, and that's what they showed, so it got me really excited. So they showed the 4 players that are all on a ship. they're going around. One person's up in the crow's nest, directing the person on the ship with the steer, so they know what direction to go. The other two are running around manning cannons and being on the lookout just in case. But then they stop, and then they jump into the ocean and start swimming underwater, where there's this underground or sunken ship. And they started swimming into the ship itself to loot it. They're finding treasure chests. They're finding planks of wood that they can use to repair their ship. They found extra cannonballs as ammunition. There was a shark nearby that they watch out for. It was just really cool that they could just jump in there and find something to quick explore. So I love that there's exploration and finding resources for your ship and not just shooting other players. And then they just basically warped to an island, and now they're on an island, and two of the players went onto the island and they took out their little flintlock pistols, and now they're searching this island. They basically had this a riddle that they're trying to solve, which is also really cool. Just to if they have a lot of riddles based or treasure hunt kind of stuff, ooh, that's gonna be fun too. Figuring out the riddles and stuff with your friends, that'll be fun. So they're walking around this island. Some skellies show up and they shoot them with their guns, which was very rudimentary first-person shooter gameplay. And the skeletons were basically acted as stupid as possible, like they didn't have brains. Ha! Because they're skeletons. So the actual, that wasn't super exciting, but that wasn't what I'm all about. So after that, they shot some skeletons, checked the riddle map inside. They went inside a cave, and inside this cave, they checked the riddle again, and they basically found this exact one certain point, and they took out a compass and walked 11 paces northwest, took out their shovels, and both players started digging out a treasure chest out of the ground. There was no other indicator that the treasure chest was there aside from that riddle, and using that compass to take very specific amount of steps. And the game even animated showing you're taking very specific amount of steps, so you could tell just how far along you're supposed to go, which is just a really cool moment that they just saw this riddle and got treasure out of it, which would get them some gold and more weapons, or I don't know. Oh, they also showed up before they got into this cave, someone from their ship got into their cannons and shot himself onto the island to help them. So now they have 3 players on the island, which is cool. I like how you can just launch yourself. That's fun. And after they got out, they're carrying the treasure chest, and now the skeletons are super pissed, so more skeletons showed up. So one person has to carry the treasure chest while the other 2 try to shoot away the skeletons using their guns. And then they got outside, and there's more skeletons. Oh crap, they're gonna be overwhelmed by skeletons. But wait, that 4th player who was still on the ship shot the cannon at the island, and it just blew away a bunch of skeletons. That's cool. That's just a very cool moment. I have no idea what else that 4th player is doing the entire time they're trying to find the treasure, but I like that if they're there, they can still support and just attack the land that way. And then other players showed up, and so they went back into their ship battle where they're shooting at each other with cannons, running on underground or into the underdeck, and then repairing things and taking out water. And then he loads himself to the cannon, launches himself, and lands on the other player's ship, starts shooting with his gun, takes out a saber, and they start doing some melee combat, or cutlass if you prefer, which is what I really wanted to see. I wanted to know if there's going to be melee combat, and there is. Again, looks very rudimentary, very basic, but it's in there. And then he just kills and takes out the entire other ship just by killing other players by himself. They weren't good players. It was, scripted, but just another cool moment. And then he just tried to jump back to his own ship and missed and got eaten by a shark. That's all. But it was really cool looking. Sea of Thieves is something I'm really looking forward to. I think that's one that's going to be super fun and definitely worth playing, especially with friends. Just based on what I had played from E3 last year and what I saw this year, that is one that's definitely on my radar. It's probably my favorite game that I got to see from the Microsoft press conference. Sea of Thieves is one to look out for. They then went into another sizzle reel of some more indie smaller games, such as ones that they showed off a game called Tacoma, which they showed up, they're like, pre-order now, August 2nd, but they didn't show anything about what the game actually is. I don't know why they did that. They showed off a date for Cuphead, which is September 29th. Cuphead is also going to be awesome. And then they also showed off a cutesy platformer game called Super Lucky's Tale. It was a platformer in the veins of, Ukulele or Banjo-Kazooie. That kind of cutesy, upbeat, colorful platformer game, which, you know what? Good on Microsoft. They kind of need something like that on their hardware because they didn't really have anything like that before. And from what I could tell, it seemed to be solid. I didn't see anything that was spectacular about it or unique. But if you enjoy those kind of platformer collectathon games, Super Lucky's Tale, it might be for you. They also showed off a little bit of Crackdown 3, which stars Terry Crews, which I would be okay if Terry Crews stars in everything. And Crackdown 3 is actually another one that I really wanted to see from Microsoft, because I really loved Crackdown 1 on the Xbox 360. When I first got my Xbox 360, the games I really wanted to play was Dead Rising and Crackdown. And I had so much fun with Crackdown's co-op multiplayer. Crackdown 2 was okay, but I was still hopeful for the series. And they showed off gameplay for Crackdown 3, and it wasn't actual gameplay, it was just kind of sizzle reel stuff. And it didn't really show anything there that made me think, oh yes, that's what Crackdown 3 is bringing to the table. That's what's new. That's what's coming. And it wasn't really there. It was just a lot of the same, jumping across rooftops, collecting skill orbs, throwing a car, shooting some stuff. There was explosions. I think stuff blows up. Maybe a building breaks. It wasn't a great gameplay demonstration because it wasn't even a demonstration. It was just a montage reel, and it wasn't awesome. I mean, that's not coming out until No, that was this year. Nope, that was November 7th. It's coming this year. Ugh, you should have shown more Microsoft. I would have loved to see more, so I don't have the greatest hopes on that one anymore. They immediately went into another indie sizzle reel with too many to count. There's probably a good 15 to 20 games in there before they slowed down and kind of really focus on a couple of them, such as Ashen, which is like a 2-player co-op to third-person melee exploration game? I don't know what you would call it. There were some caves, they didn't have faces, monsters showed up, and 2 people fought them. It could be cool. I don't know enough about it. They also... Now, we knew this is coming, but this is the first time they showed Life is Strange 2, which I haven't played Life is Strange 1. I've had a lot of people say that I should play it, but from what I understand from the people who have played it, you either love Life is Strange or absolutely hate Life is Strange. I think it's the worst ever, and there is no in between. You either love it or you hate it. So I haven't played it, so I don't know where I am in that boat, but for those who do love it, there's another one coming. I think it's a prequel? I don't know enough about that game. They called it, They call it Life is Strange Before the Storm, which is why I think it's a prequel, because the word before is there. You'll have to tell me, because I don't know enough. They then went off into another game, which, again, we knew this was coming, but we got to see some more gameplay of it, and that was the new Shadows of Mordor game. It's coming on October 10th, and they just showed some more about how you can take orcs and enemies and recruit them to your army. The first Shadows of Mordor game was really fun. I actually really enjoyed that one. So the fact they're doing another one, great, and you get your own armies and you can come up with like invasion strategies and use them to take over castles and settlements and all that. Like, oh man, that looks really, really cool. I'm really into it. And if nothing else, you should watch that demonstration just for Orc Bro, because that was one of the best video game personalities I have ever seen in any video game ever. It's just this Orc Bro. I don't want to spoil it, but those who saw it, you know what I'm talking about. This dude was awesome. I would sit down and buy a beer with him. I don't even like beer, but I would do it with that guy because he was such a bro. So if anything, watch that. It was a cool demonstration just showing the kind of life and personality. They did show some new stuff, like how you actually can be hunted by named enemies that you've wronged before or have attacked before, rather than always going to them. So that's a little bit different too. And then they showed off how you can strategize your invasion plans, like you pick an assault leader, you pick your sappers, etc., etc. I'm looking forward to that one. I love the strategy elements that they're bringing into this. I think it's gonna be really cool. They also announced an all-new Ori game. Remember Ori and the Blind Forest? Well, now there's a second one. It's called Ori and the Will of the Wisps, which I like that name a lot. Instead of Will-O-Wisps, which is just a firefly creature, now it's the Will of the Wisps. It's a cute name. They actually had the composer of the game live on stage with a piano playing to the trailer. It was just a very beautiful song, very beautiful visuals. Ori and the Blind Forest, I actually haven't played myself. Apparently it's sad, and this trailer was also sad. It showed a little owl guy, and he looks sad, and then the camera just zoomed out and the fog fades away, and then you see his dead parents back there, just dead bird bones all around him, just more sadness. But I know Ori and the Blind Forest is very critically acclaimed, and so I need to play the first one before I play this one for sure, but it was just a cool announcement because I think this was one that no one really saw coming. So good on them for that. They then came out and just talked about more Xbox stuff rather than specific games, and how they're doing a bunch of 4K updates on a lot of Xbox One games already out. So if you have an Xbox One S or get the Xbox One X, you can play them in 4K with stuff like Gears of War 4 and Final Fantasy 15 and some other stuff that was in there. They're going to be super high resolution now. They also announced that they are working on original Xbox compatibility, which is awesome. That means your Xbox One X can play Xbox One games. Whoa, wait. What did I say? That's not confusing at all. So yeah, original Xbox games are going to be compatible for all the Xbox One stuff. Like they specifically mentioned, like Crimson Skies is going to be available, which is awesome. And if they make that with the online multiplayer too, oh, that'll be cool. Do that with Crimson Skies, Mech Assault 2. That one needs bring some online back. And what else had good online play? I don't know, but at least those two would be totally worth it. If nothing else, make some, some real favorites backwards compatible again. Fable 1, Star Wars, Knights of the Old Republic, and Jade Empire. Those would all be good backwards compatible candidates. I don't know what else. I didn't play a whole lot of original Xbox games, but at least those. So it is cool that they are going all the way back and trying to make everything compatible. I don't know if that's really going to be that utilized as much as people think it is. Like, I feel like people hear that kind of backwards compatibility and like, oh yes, awesome, I'm going to play my original Xbox games. But you can, but are you going to really? Really? Again, unless the multiplayer's back online for it, like Crimson Skies, then yeah, that I wouldn't mind playing online again. So that was all the new Xbox stuff, and then their final game that they showed off, like this is how they end the press conference, was BioWare's new game, Anthem, which was very briefly teased from EA's press conference yesterday, and now we actually got to see the game in action. Sort of. So, what it is, it's Destiny. It's a Destiny-style game, an open-world game where you can explore it with friends. You get guns, you shoot dudes, and you get random loot. Some guns are rare, some are epics. They have different stats, and that's basically what it is. That's the game itself. Now, what they showed, just to kind of go through it step by step, just so you have an idea of what I'm actually talking about as I'm going through this. I love that the first thing they showed was your character first-person view, like coming out of a tent or something. It's got a bustling, kind of small market city, and there's all these people shoveling wares all around. There's a giant robot animal walking in the distance, which just immediately reminded me of Horizon Zero Dawn. And then a dude walks up and just says, "Freelancer, I need your help. Some stuff is happening." But what I really liked about that guy coming out and being there was that I feel like that was BioWare being like, look, facial animations. Just to try to get people to forget about Mass Effect Andromeda because their facial animations were really good. Like Uncharted, Last of Us, Naughty Dog style quality. Like they very much hand animated the whole thing, just keyframed with every single syllable on the guy's face. Like the facial animation was really good, and it was very much like forefront center. Look at this guy's face. Oh, he's so emotive. It was all there. That part's kind of made me laugh. And then he basically set up an objective, and they got a quest. They showed it was 2-player co-op, and they got into their exosuits, and they did that thing where it's a co-op game, and they just had really forced, really fake multiplayer chatter back and forth, and it's just so bad. No one actually talks about like that, where it's like, oh cool, you got the motor? That's sweet. And the dude's like, yeah, I did it last weekend, blah blah blah. Oh, we should go do this. Jim could use the XP. No one talks like that. But so they kind of got in their exosuits, went to the edge of the wall that they kind of showed off from the teaser trailer yesterday, or like where all the danger is. What actually was kind of cool was they had two different exosuits. Like she was in like a kind of smaller, more human-sized one. The other dude was like in a much larger tank class, as they put it. But they jump off and he immediately starts flying all the way down through it, just like jetpacks going. It was like half flying, half gliding, but just going through this entire world. I actually like that part the most. Of everything I saw, I just like that freedom of exploration right away and just being able to fly through this massive landscape. Like going through trees, they're going through rock formations, they're seeing animals and stuff down below them that they can shoot and kill if they wanted to. At one point, they actually go underwater. I actually thought that was really cool that there's underwater stuff and they come back up. And then they got to the actual gameplay and it was shooting. It was just shooting, third person shooting. I think there are damage numbers showing up. They killed a lot of stuff and got a loot box. And she got fake excited for a rare gun called Jairus' Wrath. She was all like, oh nice, Jairus' Wrath. And their dude was like, nice. And then they got two more players showed up and they started doing some more co-op stuff. And another big thing with this one is that it was very, very definitely not real. Not just like the multiplayer chatter wasn't real, like the gameplay itself was pretty fake. Way too scripted, not enough HUD there. Like you could tell like they're going very specific things, like much like how Metro's was not real gameplay. Anthem kind of did the same thing. It's not coming out till next year, so it's still a long ways off, but it very much reminded me, it was like fake gameplay that they tried to make look real as possible. It reminded me a lot of when they first showed Dragon Age Inquisition's gameplay, and how, I don't know how else to describe it, like they showed like this open world, and how your decisions actually affect what happens the next part of the objective, and then none of that stuff actually made it into the game. That's kind of what I was seeing with Anthem. Like, it sure looked good. Like, it was very pretty. Like, that world and the environments, it looked great in 4K Ultra HD on the Xbox One X. It sure looked good, and again, flying through it was just my favorite part. But then the actual shooter gameplay, it didn't quite do it for me. It was the least BioWare-esque game I've seen from BioWare. It was just that third-person shooting, really focusing on that just really wasn't catching it for me. And this is someone who doesn't play Destiny either. Now, if you're a fan of Destiny, you like those kind of games, this is probably one that you want to keep an eye on for sure. But for myself, it didn't quite do it for me. If anything, if they can take like the Destiny style gameplay and infuse it with the BioWare caliber of storytelling, characters, quests, etc., then that could be really, really cool, but it didn't really indicate that at all based on what they showed. It just looked like another third-person explore world, shoot stuff shooter akin to Destiny. Again, not my thing, but maybe it's for you, which is fine. For those of you who do play Destiny, they seem excited from what they saw, from what just based on social medias, from the people who do play Destiny, they liked what Anthem had to offer too. And both can coexist and compete with each other. That's fine. It'll probably be microtransaction-y as heck whenever it comes out, though. And then they did one last sizzle reel, and then the conference was over. Now, I was saving this part for last that I really wanted to talk about. They showed a lot of games. Microsoft did a really good job showing a lot of games. And what I really liked about that was it was games that you don't automatically go, oh, Microsoft. For example, they didn't show Halo at all, even though they have like more Halos in the work. Either it's Halo Wars 2 or whatever, Halo 6, 7, I don't know which one they're on. They weren't talking about, oh, here's some Fable stuff. Oh wait, they did show the Fable card game. Never mind. But yeah, they didn't show Gears of War. They didn't really try to showcase Halo stuff. They didn't really try to showcase like those Microsoft IPs that you really know, aside from Forza. So I like that because it did show a lot of other things. Not a whole lot of new IPs coming from themselves, but a lot of support for indie developers. A lot of the indie stuff was picking up their new IP slack, and a lot of them looked really, really cool. Good on them for that. But was in the back of my mind the entire time as I was watching, it was even evident in almost every single trailer that they showed, is that they had one clear message throughout their entire conference, which was Xbox One X. It's coming. If you want your stuff to look the absolute best, you're gonna need Xbox One X. And then every single trailer it shows like coming exclusively for Xbox One X and Windows 10. And that last part is what was really confusing me, because they're trying to tout this new machine as much as possible, but they also want it available on Windows 10. So because of that, I find it even harder to justify the $500 price point on an Xbox One X when I know I can also just get this on my already ready PC and just play most of them anyway. In fact, I don't think they announced a single thing that was only Xbox. I'm pretty sure all of them were also coming Windows 10. Fact check on that for me, please. I don't know if that's 100% accurate, but from what I saw and what I could tell, for at least all the major ones, that was definitely the case. Like Forza is coming to Windows 10, Crackdown 3 is coming to Windows 10. Just going back to my notes, like almost all of them, it was also just Windows 10. So that was just a very confusing message to me. And I did talk about that earlier, but I really am not a fan of the Xbox One X name, just because of all that confusion with its other hardware between Xbox One, Xbox One S, Xbox One X. It's not good enough. Now, all that said, Microsoft did have a good press conference. This is probably like one of the best ones they've had in at least a few years, like recent memory, I'd say. Overall grade for them, I'd probably have to say, I'm going to have to say another B- for them. I think I was probably too lenient on EA yesterday, because they were the first one. In retrospect, I would probably rather give EA a C+, but Microsoft's was good. I like the indie stuff that they showed. The live gameplay stuff that they did show, that was actual gameplay, actually looked really good. Like, they did a good job on Assassin's Creed Origins, a really good job on Sea of Thieves. They didn't quite have the, like, big announcement bombshell that I think they did, because they saved Anthem for last. I feel like that was going to be, like, their big hit. And it just, I don't think it quite landed there. It wasn't quite there. And then the Project Scorpio stuff with the Xbox One X, I'm not fully on board with that, so that's why it wasn't like a really good press conference or really up there. But this was a really solid outing from Microsoft, and it should be given props to them. So overall, B-. I thought they did a good job. Especially considering how they did the last couple of years. I feel like they're doing a much better job of just showcasing games as much as possible. But, you know, they still have those moments of they talk about technical specs and stroke their dicks just a little bit, but for the most part, they did just show games, and they did a good job on that. So, good on you, Microsoft. All right, is there anything I missed in there that I should have talked about? Because they showed a lot of games, and I tried to take as many notes as possible, but there you are. So something I did started doing for this one, I'm going to do for all the other ones, is that I'm also live streaming myself. Also watching that, so if you want to catch my commentary live, be sure to also join me at twitch.tv/ProJared during those conferences. For example, Bethesda's is tonight. I'll be live streaming that one and then doing my recorded thoughts immediately afterwards. So be sure to come on by and join me for that. I would really appreciate it. Thank you for watching these too, by the way. Subscribe if you like these. Anything I missed, any corrections I need, please put them in the comments, because I want to make sure I'm doing this right. I'll make sure I'm getting the information right. And then I will be at E3 the entire time. So if any of these you want me to check out, please let me know. I would greatly appreciate it. All right, that's all. I'll see you next for Bethesda later tonight. Thank you guys. See you then.